Hey everybody, Max Kevin here. It's the little movie review podcast where I review movies and television shows that suck. Everything sucks. Remember that TV show, The Critic? John Lovett's animated TV show, The Critic. Every time he watched a movie, he would say, "It stinks." That's kind of like me. I'm kind of like John Lovitz without the success, but much better looking. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd trade my success for John Lovitz's face. Probably not. I mean, the guy could have a decent body if he exercised instead of just being a fatty his whole life, But I don't know. Maybe he has an eating disorder. Anyway, watch that movie Oppenheimer, dude. Oppenheimer, dude. Or as they say in German, Oppenheimer. I don't know if you guys know that Oppenheimer, he was this scientist guy. He was a scientist. He made the bombs. He made the first bombs. His name was Oppenheimer, which is a German name, but he was born in America, I guess. And he was Jewish, apparently. And he liked banging women. He liked banging communist girls. Even though his wife, I don't know if she also liked, I kind of felt like that part of the movie was, I don't know. I guess it was a biopic, this movie, Oppenheimer. To me, it was more like a music video. The whole thing was a music video, Like the movie starts and like Christopher Nolan's got that opera music he likes, like ba-da-boo, ba-da-boo, Every one of his movies has got like different Hans Zimmer. Did Hans Zimmer compose this one? Of course, this movie didn't have like the Interstellar. Interstellar's got the great music, The bang, 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 Interstellar's got great music. This movie it was okay music, But the problem was they put a lot of loud music, like when people were talking, and so you couldn't really hear what everyone was saying, So I had to put on the subtitles there. Even though I speak English, it's like, alright, this music's too goddamn loud. And the voices are too goddamn quiet. God, I hate that. So many movies and TV shows do that, They make the music and the sound effects so goddamn loud, and like the dialogue, you can't hear shit, So you put up the volume on your TV there, because you can't hear what the hell people are saying, and then there's an explosion. It's like, oh God, my neighbors are pissed off at me now because my goddamn TV is so loud. I can't hear what these people are saying, and then the very next scene they just blow shit up. So that was kind of annoying there. I was watching that. It's like, hey, Christopher Nolan, learn how to sound mix better, dude. That was a big problem with Tenet. Tenet too. I couldn't understand. Like, you couldn't hear anything. You couldn't hear what the people are saying, man. Hey, Christopher Nolan, learn how to properly sound mix your dialogue so people can hear what the hell other people are saying. Anyway, he's a decent filmmaker. Yeah, this movie kind of felt like a fever dream, There's like a lot of in the beginning of the movie there, kind of, Oppenheimer's like laying in bed having visions of the quantum world, It's like, I can see the quantum world, I can see the strengths. No one believes me. I need to train with Niels Bohr. Yeah, there was that, these biopics, they kind of glossed over his life or whatever, they kind of, I guess that, they had to summarize, I guess, the whole theme of the movie, they kind of emphasized, like, his trial, where they accused him of being a communist sympathizer, so he lost his security clearance in 1954. The guy who made the bomb for America. It's like, hey guys, I don't know about your critical thinking skills, but the guy who dedicated his life to making sure America had the bomb is probably not a Soviet sympathizer, Yeah, there was some good lines. There's some good things to think about in that movie there, because of course Oppenheimer, he was going to these commie meetings, these communist meetings, but he was doing it to send money to the Spanish Civil War there, because during that time, that was during the Spanish Civil War. And, he was also talking about how, Hitler's coming to power there, and he was Jewish, so he's sending money. He's sending money to his Jewish friends so they could escape. Germany. There, of course. Back then, there was the communists versus fascists. That was the basic. That was the basic online debates. If they had the Twitter, it'd just be the communists versus the fascists, which I guess is kind of what it is now. It's communists versus the fascists, except neither side identifies as communists or fascists anymore. They say, no, I'm not communist. I mean, I want the government to control everything, every single economic decision, but that's not communism, right? It's called democratic socialism now. And then there's the fascist people that are just like, let's go to war all the time. Fuck immigrants, am I right? Goddamn brown people. Which I feel like that way of thinking isn't very popular anymore. Even there's not. Of course they try to American politics. They try to play up the amount of hate groups there are, but I don't know. I don't think there are that many. I've never really met anybody that's like, hey man, I hate brown people. You want to join my group? I'm like, nah. That's like I've never been recruited. No hate group has ever tried to recruit me. So that's kind of disappointing. I feel like I'm a hot commodity. So they should definitely try to recruit me. But never been recruited by a hate group. Fucking bullshit, dude. So anyway, so Oppenheimer is trying to, he's trying to help his Jewish comrades escape there, So the only way to do it, of course, is to send money to the communists there, because they're the enemies of the fascists there, So I thought that was interesting, because that was another thing too. Like Einstein was like a socialist, and what's his face, George Orwell was a socialist, But back then it was totally different. I think it was more of the antithesis of fascism. So when people called themselves socialists back then, I don't think they were thinking them. They weren't doing it because they supported the government taking over all economic decisions, but rather they did it because they were anti-fascist. And so that was, if you don't like the Republicans, you join the Democratic Party, right? And if you don't like the Democrats, you join the Republican Party, right? So I don't know about what Einstein and Orwell, Of course, they never lived to see what a goddamn disaster the Soviet Union became, but yeah, it just political thinking is different over the years, Like, of course, the Republican Party, they were the ones that freed the slaves, and now they hate all the black people. So times change, And the Democrats, they used to be the biggest racists back in the day, the early 20th century. The Democrats were like, no, fuck these immigrants, fuck these Irish immigrants, Dad. Go back to Ireland. You're not white. You will be in 50 years, but right now you're Irish. You dirty Irish. So times change, man. Times change, So I guess what I'm saying is people that make claims like, oh, Einstein was a socialist. Okay, well, it was completely different back then. They're thinking about that word was completely different, and all the political parties, they changed. They changed with the wind. They changed with the times. Anyway, of course, Oppenheimer was going to these communist parties. He wasn't a member of the party because, he. Well, I don't know if this is the real him as he was portrayed in this movie. He was not a member of the Communist Party because he saw the what do you call it? The fundamentalism. The zealotism, the zealotry. And he was like, I don't want one viewpoint to control my thinking, is what he was saying. He's like, I don't want one philosophy. You shouldn't let one philosophy control your thinking. You should analyze every philosophy and take what works. And I thought that was an interesting message, especially with this movie. Because we got the whole we got the whole political thing. Of course, politics is always a problem, but a lot of these movies recently are taking sides. They're choosing a side. You're on my side or you're on this side, But this movie Oppenheimer, it kind of showcased how you don't have to take a side. You can be a free, independent thinker. You can be a free, independent thinker. You don't have to. How about I do? And anyway, you know what else I thought was funny there? Oppenheimer, he's at the Communist Party. This chick comes up to him. She's like, fuck rich people, am I right? And he's like, well, I'm rich. And she's like, I want to fuck you. And he's like, all right, let's do it. The next scene they're fucking. But of course, she's talking about the Communist Manifesto there. She's talking about Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. And she's like, property is theft. And he's like, oh, is that how it was translated? Property? I thought it was. I can't remember the line exactly, but he was saying like, well, I read it in the original German, because she was like, oh, have you even read Karl Marx? You don't even know? Have you even read? Yeah, I know more about socialism than you. And he's like, well, yeah, I read it in the original German. And she was like, oh, well, you want to see my tits? And he's like, yeah, I do want to see your tits. So they had a relationship there, But yeah, that's one thing. Of course, me studying languages, a lot of things are lost in translation, especially like political shit, like the Communist Manifesto. People are always like, oh, well, he said this. Like, well, that was a translation error, Especially when it comes to the Bible too, because like people are reading the Bible in English there, And it's like a translation of a translation of a translation, So it's like the original one was written in what, I don't know, Latin, Greek and Latin, Then it gets translated to ye old English, Thine, thou, thine God in heaven, thine art, And then it gets translated into like modern English, and it's like, Jesus was a G, dude. Jesus was straight up. Yeah, I can't wait for like the future version, the Gen Z version of the Bible. It's like, dude, Jesus was straight up sick. John 3:14. Jesus was straight up sick. That's gonna be the new translation, So yeah, you gotta keep that in mind, kids. When you're reading translations of stuff, you gotta keep in mind the original nuance and meaning of the words, because there's stuff that just can't translate, because words have certain nuance, They not only have meanings, they have nuance, a certain feeling. Anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting part there, And then what else about the movie? My boy Richard Feynman. My boy Richard Feynman was he was only in like one scene. It's like, I don't like. They had all these other physicists, like Niels Bohr was in there, and Heisenberg was in there for a little bit, and there's a bunch of other physicists that I guess worked on the bomb that I've never really heard of. Their name like Teller, and I don't know, some other people, some other dude who I guess started the first hydrogen bomb research. Who, these guys are not super famous in the theoretical physics field, but I guess they worked on the bomb there, and they were a big part of the movie. But my boy Richard Feynman, who also worked on it, he was barely in the movie, and the only reason I knew he was in the movie is because I had the subtitles on. Like, they never even say his name. They're about to watch the bomb explode, and he's sitting in his car, and he's like, no, I don't need the glasses, because I'm sitting in my car, and the glass filters the UV, because I'm a scientist. I know how this shit works. You don't need to give me that shit. And the only reason I knew it was him because the subtitles said his name, and so like I was waiting the whole movie for Feynman to show up, because Feynman's such an interesting, funny guy. They didn't even like the whole time he was working at the Manhattan Project there. Like when he was bored, he would just start cracking safes. Like that was his hobby. It's just crack safes. And that would kind of piss the people off, because that shit's supposed to be secret and stuff. And he's like, oh, I just opened it, so what are you going to do about it? I'm Richard fucking Feynman. Yeah, I mean, that guy, Feynman needs his own biopic. That guy's super interesting. I'm surprised no one's ever made a movie about his life. And, I think he was very instrumental in the development of the bomb, but he was barely featured in this movie. I don't know. That was kind of disappointing there. Kind of hoped Richard Feynman would play a bigger role, but we'll see. Maybe he had some scenes cut. I don't know. But yeah, if you haven't read this book, it's called Surely You're Joking. Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. It's a great book that he wrote, autobiography about his life. Definitely check it out. It's very funny and insightful. And he talks about a lot about the bomb and how depressed he was in the years following the bomb, because he just basically felt like the world was gonna end. He felt, oh, Zoro, what are you doing? Oh, Zoro doesn't like it when I talk about bombs. Zoro doesn't like it when I talk about Zoro. What's wrong? You don't like when I talk about bombs? Oh, Zoro, yo. Oh, Zoro. Anyway, so Richard Feynman there, he's quite depressed. He was quite depressed. And I think they showed that a little bit with Oppenheimer, like he's giving a speech. And he just kind of envisions everyone listening getting blown up, They kind of only touched on that. I feel like they should have touched on that more, because I feel like that had a greater impact on these guys' lives. They've written about that a lot, how just like kind of depressed they were, that like now, they could destroy the world, as Oppenheimer quotes the Bhagavad Gita, I become death, destroyer of worlds. Yeah, it was cool too. I didn't realize Oppenheimer could speak so many languages. I guess he in the movie they said he learned Dutch. He learned Dutch in 2 months just to give a lecture. But I guess if you could speak German and English, Dutch isn't really very hard. It's quite easy. I can almost understand Dutch myself, even though I've never studied it at all. It's very similar. It's like a combination of German and English. Then he was studying Sanskrit to read the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know how to pronounce that. But, it was an interesting movie. It was a fun movie. I like the part where the bomb went off. I like the part where... Yeah, and at the end of the movie there, Oppenheimer is... he gets to meet President Truman there. And Truman's asking him if they should develop the H-bomb, and Oppenheimer's like, well, I feel like I have blood on my hands, And Truman's like, you little baby bitch. Japanese people don't care about you. I'm the one that dropped the bomb on them. They don't even know your name. They all fucking hate me. You think you have blood on your hands? I killed 100,000 people, goddammit. That was Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman fucking killed it as President Truman. I thought that was a funny scene. Oppenheimer's like, I got blood on my hands, and Truman's like, you think you have blood? I'm the one that dropped the bomb. You asshole. All right, I have blood on my hands. You think I sleep well at night? You think I can sleep at night? Anyway, that was a fun movie. Of course, people saw it in conjunction with Barbie, but I didn't see Barbie. As the great Theo Von once said, if you're a grown man and you want to see Barbie, something's wrong with you. You definitely should get therapy. Because it's the Barbie movie, It's not meant for you. It's not meant for you. It's not meant... Have I watched any TV shows recently? I don't know. I can't remember. But I'll probably make a separate podcast about that. Thanks for listening. Man, we'll see you tomorrow.